Welcome to Off the Clock, a podcast by Procino-Wells and Woodland, where we take a team-centered, family-focused approach to serving the estate planning and elder law needs of our community on the Eastern Shore. I'm Sherry Holder, firm manager at PWW Law, and I'm joined today by Laura McCreary, CARES Program Director. We're excited to talk today about CARES. So let's get started. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks for joining me today.
Sure.
I want to mention from the top that your anniversary is coming up.
It is.
6 years with the
Gosh,
firm.
6 years.
6 years.
It's crazy. It's
So,
flown by.
It has. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I also just want to acknowledge that you wear more than one hat with the firm. In addition to our CARES Program Director, you are also the Estate Planning Department Manager, where you lead a team of 5 coordinators. So that's a pretty important role. Today, though, we're going to delve into and focus on what your role is as the CARES Program Director. So why don't you take it away? Talk to me about that.
Sure. So I oversee the CARES program in general. I'm, as you said, the director of that program. What is CARES? What is a CARES program? Let me talk to you a little bit about that. So CARES stands for Continued Alignment, Review, Education, and Support. So it's basically, if I could, lack of better words, say it's our maintenance program. It's our program to continue on with what you've done with your estate planning, to keep in contact with your family. And Procino-Wells and Woodland, we say that it's not if something happens or if something occurs, it's when something occurs. So that's a part of our program and why we started it.
Okay. So who is the program for?
So it's for our VIPs. It's for those who have completed their estate planning and they want to continue on with a relationship with our firm.
So couldn't a client that wants to continue a relationship with a firm just give us a call and schedule another appointment?
Yeah, and they do, and that's okay. But like you and I know, I think when something happens in your life, your first thought isn't to call your attorney. So when something changes, whether it's an asset or a death in the family or as simple as moving states, your first thought isn't, well, let me call my attorney. It's usually down the road when someone mentions that to you, like, oh, I should have probably updated my estate planning or told somebody about this.
Okay. So what do you mean exactly? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So it allows us to keep tabs on you. So this program isn't for you to necessarily contact us all the time, but for us to contact you. So we do that in various ways. One is each year we will send you your asset folio that outlines all of your assets and ask you if anything's changed or if you have any questions or you want to come in and meet with the attorney. That's sent out on an annual basis. We also send out things for workshops that are CARES exclusive. So trustee school is one of the great perks of the program. It's something that you can attend as a client, but you can also send your trustee to talk about the actual role of a trustee. What does it mean? What do you have to do? It's that general information for that trustee with our attorneys. Another part is we have an annual appreciation event, which is just for our CARES clients as well. So we all get together and kind of in a casual setting and have an event and just catch up. One of my personal favorites of the CARES program is the family care meeting. It's a meeting where you can come in with the attorney and talk specifics. So family can mean your beneficiaries, your kids, your cousins, aunts, uncles. It's also your financial advisors. It's your CPAs. It's your group of people that you want to stay involved in your life. And you want everybody to kind of be on the same page. So that's another perk of the CARES program.
Okay, so you mentioned changes. I think that it's hard for the average person to imagine what's going to change. You know, I have 2 children. If something happens to me, I want them to receive it 50-50. That doesn't sound very complicated. What exactly could change that would require me to update or need to update or think about a CARES program?
Mm-hmm. So like you said, most people come to us and say that, well, I don't have a lot of changes. I'm not going to have changes. Yeah, but you will. We feel like you will. So in that scenario, okay, you have two kids, 50-50. Well, what happens when one of your kids gets divorced? Then that dynamic looks a little different. What do you want to happen with the funds to the kids, to the grandkids? What does that look like? Law changes. If there's any law changes, we will keep you updated on that. That's not something that you regularly are going to come across with estate planning, is the law changing. Your finances, inheritances. If someone passes away, you come into all of this inheritance that you don't know what to do with. That's part of the CARES program and what we would help you along with.
Actually, you just made me think of a client I met with earlier this week who did his estate planning with the firm back in 2017, and he did not have children. He was unmarried. So he set everything up to benefit his younger sister, and she was in fact named as his agent on the power of attorney and also his advanced healthcare directive. Well, she very unexpectedly passed away in June. So he's a CARES member and made an appointment with the firm, came in to discuss this, his current situation. And it was nice. It was a good meeting and a lot of peace of mind that he could just call our office, set the appointment, not worry about what's this going to cost me, what's it going to involve. Yeah. So you also said asset alignment, keeping up with asset alignment. That's kind of an internal term a little bit. So can you tell me about that, just to let our listeners know what we mean when we say asset alignment?
Sure. So look, assets in general, that's your cash accounts, your non-qualified annuities, your retirement plans, your life insurance, all of your stuff, your property. So that's what we talk about assets. That's what we're talking about. And then we talk about aligning your assets. We want to make sure that they work with your plan. So whether you have a trust, we want to make sure that some of those accounts are retitled to your trust, or your retirement plans reflect your kids as contingent beneficiaries. A lot of people will name primary beneficiaries but forget that contingent beneficiaries are just as important. So we want to make sure that those beneficiaries go in line with your trust, because if not, there's no point in even of creating a trust if your assets aren't aligned to it. So that asset folio that I talk about is your outline of all your assets and what's aligned, where it is, and verifications for that.
Yeah, and in the case of the gentleman I was referring to just a second ago, he actually inherited from his sister. So part of his updates would be aligning the new assets to his current trust. Yeah. So I have to ask though, really, who cares?
Valid question. We care. We do care. And I'd like to do a little bit of an exercise with you if you're up for it.
Okay. So you're going to take me off script. Okay,
I am.
I'll do it. I'm brave.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to have you close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Okay. Picture this. Your parents have just passed away. You find your parents' documents buried in their safe. You're barely keeping it together, but you decide to schedule an appointment with the firm listed on the documents. You walk in for your appointment and are greeted with a, "Hello, what is your name?" You don't recognize anyone, and you realize they don't know who you are. You are then seated in an unfamiliar conference room. The attorney walks in and introduces herself for the first time. The attorney discusses how it's been a long time since your parents have been in, and we need to start from the beginning, discussing information from her last known contact in 1999. The attorney is very sympathetic, but is talking about your dad's farm like it wasn't his prized possession, and it's just another asset that needs to be sold. You're given a list of items, and you walk out the door. You can open your eyes. What are you feeling?
Okay, so if that was supposed to be meditation, I just want to let you know my blood pressure actually went up. All right, so what am I feeling? I actually lost my father a year ago, and it's hard. So he was not a young fella by any stretch of the imagination, but it also wasn't expected. So when we had to start to plan, the next few days were a blur. And this just made me think about the experience we had with the local funeral home. The funeral home was managed and owned by a family in the small town I grew up in. They knew me, they knew my father very well, but not in the context of what we were about to do. At no point had he talked to them about what he wanted. My mother was completely devastated, and that left my siblings and I to meet with the current funeral home director, which we did not know. And he did not know my father at all. So they did the best they could. They are a wonderful family and compassionate and have tremendous empathy. However, it felt in the moment very clinical. Very clinical until we got through some preliminaries that I feel like could have been managed and done better had we been in contact with them ahead of time. As difficult as that even would have been, but just having a feeling and a relationship with them that they knew our family dynamic and. So that's what you just made me think of. Thank
Sorry
you.
to get you emotional.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. All right. Well, I want to do one more.
Okay.
All
right.
So I'm going to have you close your eyes again.
All right.
So picture this. Your parents have just passed away. You go to the safe where you know the documents are kept. Barely keeping it together, you call into Procino-Wells in Woodland and schedule an appointment with a familiar voice. You walk in, seeing familiar faces, and are greeted by name and an "I'm sorry for your loss." You remember the feeling of the conference room chairs and being in the room with your parents. You begin to get emotional. The attorney walks in, offering you a hug and some tissues. She immediately tells you how much your parents are going to be missed and that she can still remember your dad's love for black coffee and how she admired his dedication and love for his farm. She goes over the current assets and puts your mind at ease on the next step. You say your goodbyes knowing that if you need anything, you can simply call. You can open your eyes. Different feelings?
Yeah, much different. Actually, I can feel like the redness that was creeping up my chest and neck start to lower a little bit. And actually, that exercise reminded me of the day of my father's funeral where the owner did come out to me, and we had a very different conversation about my father, which is, I think, what your point is.
Yes.
She knew him very, very well, and it was just a very different feeling.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the feeling of cares. That's cares right there. The second feeling there where it's familiar and you feel comfortable and you know the people. It's already a hard time enough. So to walk into a scary place or an unfamiliar place where you don't know anybody or recognize anyone, and the attorney is sympathetic, like I said, but doesn't know deep down the dynamics of your family, the inner workings of your family, and you don't feel that personal relationship. So when we talk about cares, that's what cares does. It builds that relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So cares is an investment, I would assume. So tell me a little bit about that. Why would you invest in this program other than the exercise you just gave?
Yeah. I got you emotional. Sorry.
Yeah.
I would ask you back, why not? We talk about insurance a lot with the CARES program and how we relate it to an insurance policy. So a lot of people say, I don't need it right now. Why would I invest in this? Well, it's the same concept with insurance, really. You don't necessarily need it right this second, and you may not need it this year, but you might need it next year. Or if you get in a car accident, you need the insurance then. So it's more of an insurance to make sure that your plan works when you need it to. Most of our clients come to us and say, I want to do estate planning because I want my kids and my grandkids, I want it to be easy. I want it to be smooth. The CARES program allows us to ensure that that happens. It allows us to continue that relationship and to build on a legacy for your family.
Yeah, that's great. It really is. Thank you for a moving exercise and also a great explanation as you're kind of giving an analogy of insurance. And I know that in many of our podcasts and conversations with clients, we talk a lot about Disney. Mm-hmm. Well, you made me just think of when my granddaughter was born, and that same year I bought a Disney Vacation Club membership. And the reason I bought that membership was to ensure that my kids traveled with me and I would be involved in vacations with them and with their children that, you can easily put off if life gets in the way. Yeah, right. You find excuses. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be very similar to what this is in a different way, mm-hmm. obviously. Yeah. But I just want to thank you. I want to say again, happy anniversary. Thank you. And we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for being with us today on Off the Clock. If you'd like to learn more about us, visit our website at pwwlaw.com. Of course, you can contact us directly by calling 302-628-4140 or emailing info@pwwlaw.com. We're here to help you plan today to protect your families tomorrow. See you next time. Anything discussed on Off the Clock is for general informational purposes only and is not intended to create an attorney-client relationship. To attain the most reliable guidance, listeners are encouraged to seek personalized advice from qualified professionals.